Did God torpedo the Jewish people in the desert? Right. What do I mean by that? The other title I had for this class was, right, is God a terrible author? I'll try and explore both questions quickly. Um, let's start with, did God torpedo this right away? Right, they come, they leave Egypt, they see great miracles. There's a revelation at Sinai, there's Har Sinai. Shem comes down, theatrics and thunder and lightning and craziness, and right, 10 Aseres Hadibros, they make sense. This is good. And all of a sudden, we get a Shirim Baba Kama. Right, we get the nitty gritty details of the ox that gored the person and the person that stole, and they hit and they this and they that. Right, and you think to yourself, these people just survived 200 years of slavery. Why is God giving them this Shirim Baba Kama? Right, the details, the slog. That's enough to put a veteran Talmud Chacham to sleep. That's what Hashem begins with, right? That's what he starts teaching the people with. Dense, detailed, right? Maybe we would say, Chas v'shalom, boring laws. This is what we start with. Right? Maybe that torpedoes this from the outset. The people are like, I can't do this. Just too much for me. It's impossible. Can't do it. Okay, hold that thought for a second, and now I'll take you to the second question, and that is God a terrible author? Now, we know the answer to that question, of course, is no. But I'll tell you why I asked the question. I'm going to read to you a couple of psukim. Right? Ish kol nefesh adam mot jumat. Person who kills another human being, they die. Makan nefesh behema yishalmena nefesh tachat nefesh. If you kill an animal, you have to pay for it. Ish ki yiten mum ba'amito. Right? If you damage somebody, right? Kasher asa kenya aselo. Right, whatever you did to them happens to you. Shever tachat shever, break for a break, ayin tachat ayin, an eye for an eye, etc. Right, if I asked you where these psukim were from, I think you would say they're from Parshat Mishpatim. Right, that's the text, that's the context, that's exactly where all these halachos are. Except that that's not correct. I just read to you from the end of Parshas Emor, towards the end of the book of Vayikra. Right, almost 80% of the way through, you find the same psukim. Right? What is it doing there? Why the repetition? That's why I asked. God a bad author. He took some of the psukim, which are like repetitions of psukim right from Mishpatim, and threw them all the way at the end of Parshat Emor. I'm sure I've shared this before because it's a beautiful idea from Rabbi Samson Raphael Hirsch. It's the first place that I saw it, and he says as follows. Right? Why does HaKadosh Baruch Hu do that? Think about what's in between. Right? In between Parshas Mishpatim and the end of Parshas Emor is everything to do with the Beit HaMikdash and the Kohanim and the service, everything. Right? Truma, Tzitzava, command to build a Mishkan. Ki Tisa continues. Vayakal Pekudah, they build the Mishkan. Vayikra, Tzav, Shmini. Right? All the Korbanos. Tazria, Mitzorah. Right, stuff that happens with the Kohen in the Beis Hamikdash. After Tazria Mitzvah, we find Achremos, which we have the Yom Kippur Avoda. Then Kedoshim take a little break. Right, Emor, we're back to the laws of the Kohanim, and after all of that, more of Parshat Mishpatim. Essentially, Hirsch argues that the framework is as follows. We have all of this stuff about the Beis Hamikdash, the Kohanim in the middle, and they are bookended by Parshat Mishpatim type laws. Parshat Mishpatim before, and we take a snippet and repeat it at the end to literally form bookends so that what's closing and opening, or opening and closing the laws of the Beis Hamikdash are the laws of damaging people and damaging animals. Now, why should that be? And Hirsch answers this question for us as well. And he says to teach us that these laws are just important as the laws of the Beis Hamikdash. Don't think, Kadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem really wants us in Shul, and He really wants us in the Beis Hamikdash. He doesn't really care what we do in business. He doesn't really care how we treat people. Comes Hirsch to say, no, they're equivalent, they're identical. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants us in shul, and he wants us davening, and he wants us in the Beis HaMikdash, and he wants us offering sacrifices, and he wants us to treat people nicely, and he wants us not to damage other people's property, and he wants us to be fair and honest and ethical in business. Hashem wants all of that from us in an identical manner, right? And a frum Jew is a Jew who is frum in both areas, in the world between man and God and the world between man and man. And I'll add one more piece, and maybe this is why we start with Parshat Mishpatim, why this is the introduction. It's not just that these laws are important, and they're as important. That is true, but it's more than that. How you bring HaKadosh Baruch Hu into this world, right? We might think you have to have a revelation at Sinai, something crazy like that, or cardinal principles that are laid down, or something like the Beis HaMikdash where God's presence is felt. And we start with Mishpatim to teach us that this is also a way to bring HaKadosh Baruch Hu into the world. We bring HaKadosh Baruch Hu into the boardroom, right? We bring HaKadosh Baruch Hu into the hedge fund, into the real estate office, the legal office, the dental, etc. Keep going, right? That is how we bring Hashem into the world. It's not just that Hashem wants it, and it's important. Part of bringing HaKadosh Baruch Hu into the world is bringing Hashem into every aspect of our lives. And we can find Hashem in Baba Kama. We can find Hashem in how I treat my fellow human being, how I'm being honest and ethical and moral and courteous and pleasant. All of that, right, is bringing Hashem into this world. And maybe that's why we have bookends, and that's why we start, right, teaching the people in Parshat Mishpatim. Shabbat Shalom.